Hi, welcome to ACE. Today's video is about architectural drawings and renderings. I'm going to show a project I worked on and how our team provided different drawings for that project and the programs we used to create those. First, I'll give you a little background on myself. My name is Sarah. I'm a licensed interior designer, and I've been working for about 8 years now. I'm currently working at the firm Grush & Smith, where we take an integrated approach to design. This allows myself and the other designers on our team to be involved in many aspects of the design process. I've worked on projects within various markets, including healthcare, retail, corporate, industrial, and most recently aviation work. These markets differ with what they are focusing on. However, one thing that does stay constant are the drawing types and the programs we use for the drafting and renderings. This helps us deliver a successful project to our client. As I mentioned before, I'm going to show you all a project that I've worked on, and we use Revit and Inscape for that project. These are two of the programs that I use on all of them. Some of you may have heard of these programs or have even had the opportunity to use them with ACE. So whether it is something new or something you're familiar with, I do hope this will spark a little more interest and you'll learn something new today.
BIM, Building Information Modeling. BIM is a process. It's a representation of the building that you're designing and creating, and it consists of the physical information and the 3D components that are being placed into it. This allows us to design, construct, and manage that building and model efficiently. Under the process of BIM are the programs that we use. There are so many softwares out there that are being developed and used throughout our industry. Some of them are common ones I'm going to list out here. For myself, I'll use Revit on a daily basis, and that's what I'll use for my documentation and detailing, along with basic modeling. Revit is one of those programs that I use on a daily basis. It allows us to develop our design from the very beginning stages where we might just have a concept drawing or some basic massing, and we can bring it all the way through to documentation and delivering of the project. It allows us to communicate and produce our accurate designs through visualization features and collaborating with our team members efficiently. We're able to put our models on the cloud, which allows them to link into our consultants' models, as well as bringing theirs into our Revit model. Again, this is just another way and another layer of communication that is built into this software. Revit does have rendering capabilities that you can use. They're very efficient, very effective. But for me, I prefer Inscape. It works as an extension of Revit. So while you are building and documenting and detailing everything in Revit, Inscape takes all that information and just pulls it over to create your rendering and to create this virtual reality in a way. You can walk around within your model as if it's a video game. You can create real-time changes. So if you are working with a client or if you're just wanting to see a different option or a different solution you might be studying, you make the changes in Revit, and when you go to update Inscape, it automatically updates for you. Another idea is with that you can have different visual settings. So you might have something that looks like a final photorealistic rendering, but you can also kind of pull back on those settings and keep it very basic so you can just get a sense of the space and the massing earlier on in the beginning stages of a design. Now looking at how we apply that to a past project, this is an industrial and corporate project. The client was establishing a US-based headquarters for the company. The majority of this project was a manufacturing space. However, there's also a corporate office component to this. You can see the breakdown with the square footage on the screen, but the total coming to $264,000 was what this project was. Since our client lived in Europe, any interaction with them was valuable and needed to be used as efficiently as possible. Using Revit and Inscape, it allows us to make design decisions with the client, identify any construction issues early on, and coordinate with our consultants' models throughout each stage of the project. From our initial meeting with the client, they were decisive in a few things that were important to them when it came to the overall building and design. They wanted to make sure the spaces would be flexible to accommodate different needs, open work areas in the office spaces, as well as a lot of natural light throughout, And not just natural light in our front office, but also natural light throughout the manufacturing space for those workers too, along with areas that would allow for expansion, again, within the front office space, but also expansion off the manufacturing portion of the building. So here I'm kind of showing you an overall floor plan of the entire project. This is showing the office area that we would have in the front of it, the manufacturing space, which again is majority of the project, but then also a galvanization bay, which would be their future expansion. Even though that future expansion was not a part of the project, it's definitely something that we still needed to plan for with them. So we wanted to make sure that where we were locating the building on the site was going to be the most efficient location. So with locating that and locating the future phase, we were able to kind of make that decision. What we're looking at now is the first floor plan for our office space. This is just showing a large plan of that area. The floor plan provides a view looking down at your space and your design, and it's showing the different relationships between your rooms, the different spaces, the traffic patterns, and how somebody might be moving through the space, as well as where physical features are located there. Dimensions are also usually shown on these plans, as well as tags that will reference where an elevation is, or a section, or a detail. So that will correspond with where that view is located in your documents. With our plan looking here, you can see coming in through the vestibule, being more in the public lobby space when you enter. Directly in front of you is the showroom. We want to provide the flexibility that the client was seeking by having a space to do a product display, but also presentations for clients. And then keeping that open office close to the lobby as well in the conference room, so that, you know, if they want to do a tour, if they need to go talk to somebody, that's still more of your public space. And so keeping that closer to the lobby, and then having more of your private staff areas further back from there. You can also see how we have the connectivity on the first floor out to the manufacturing space. And then we go up to our second floor for this area, the front office. So again, with our floor plan, you're looking at where all the spaces are located, how they relate to one another, and how you're going to flow through here. Coming up the stairs, we are into our open office area for the second floor. This is a lot more open than on the first floor, a lot of space for growth and expansion for our client. And then we also have a lot of light as well, which is one of their other key design elements that they were looking for. You can also see how we located our managers' offices off to the back. Again, kind of playing with adjacencies and what was important for them. They wanted to make sure they could see out into that manufacturing space to see what was going on their floor. So with floor ceiling windows gave them that opportunity. Just like on the first floor, we wanted to provide more of that office space closer to the main stairs, and then the canteen, locker room area off to like further away from that area, a little bit more private. Then you can also see that was on the first floor as the second floor, these dashed lines we have, and that's locating where your structure's at. So trying to make sure that lines up with the wall so you can kind of bury it in there unless you want it to be exposed. So now we are going to look at the exterior of the building. One of the views you are seeing is a rendering created in Inscape. We provided the information in Revit, which was then used in Inscape to create the view you're seeing. This was used to help convey the design to our client. The other views you're seeing were created for our documentation of the building, and those were created in Revit. The elevation below shows you a 2D view of a vertical plane. In this case, our image is at the front of our building. This provides more information on the materials, the dimensions, and locations of physical features. This will also allow you to locate where your sections of the building are. The section is basically taking that horizontal plane that you have an elevation of and you're cutting right through it. And you're looking at what that is. In this case, where we have one located was looking at a specific part of the exterior wall, and that's going to show you how it's constructed. So again, the materials, where the windows are, how it's interacting with the structure, and the different elevation heights of everything. As far as the design goes, you can see how we have the exterior glazing all across the front, allowing all that natural light to come in, again, being one of the key points that they wanted to concentrate on when it came to the design of our building. Still looking at the exterior of the building, what we are showing in the first view is the rendering of the front and the side. We created this for the client to understand the size as well as the amount of glazing we were providing. Since that was a specific design consideration from them, we wanted to make sure that they understood what was going to be there. You can also start to see the location of the sunshades that we designed at the larger windows. These are used to help minimize glare and heat gain within the interior, which was something that we were very concerned about. The elevation below, just like on the last slide, is showing the vertical plane, but this time instead of the front of the building, we're showing the side of the building. Again, this is going to provide more information in our documents on how it's going to be built. We did provide some walkthroughs for the client, which is always very beneficial and helpful. But what's even better is when you're able to sit with them so that you're able to see certain areas that might be of concern to them or just areas that need to be discussed a little bit further. With this one, we were able to kind of show them how open that two-story area would be with the lobby, as well as how open the work areas would be and the size of those windows. Also, a few of the other employee areas like the canteen and the overall design of the space as well. I'm going to take a little bit of a step back real quick before I get into some of the final renderings that we produced for them and kind of just touch on concept sketching and massing. Beginning of a project, you're still going to have your initial design concept and inspiration as well as sketches. And then once those kind of start to develop and you begin doing some basic massing in Revit, you can also export those views out to be able to develop those sketches a little bit further for the overall design intent. This is just showing a few of the stuff that we had pinned up in our conference room while we were working on the design for this. This is one of the renderings that we produced through Inscape for the client, showing that two-story lobby area and how open and bright that would be in there, along with showing some possible marketing locations for them. But what's great is you can see how open it is, as well as with those glass walls into the showroom manufacturing area, how if they were to have an event in there or products on display, you really are able to see all the way back into what's actually happening and how it's being made. You can also see the connectivity to the second floor, the overlook that we provided. And then if you can't notice, orange is the corporate color, and that is something that was celebrated throughout the space. Look at the second floor, you can see the openness of it. Right now we're looking back at the elevator and that main stair coming up. We have the exposed ceiling in the space. The windows are actually to the right. You can't see all the natural light coming in, but you do see the windows that we have on the interior over to the left back there. Again, allowing all of that light to carry through and to really open up that back corridor space for people who are walking in there. All the furniture is modular. The client didn't want anything built in due to the fact that they wanted to make sure if their needs changed and as they grew, all that could be updated accordingly. Looking at one of the staff break rooms that's on the second floor, again, a ton of light coming in, windows on the exterior, high ceilings, wanting to provide a space where they can congregate and relax. But also another key design element that we were wanting to coordinate and we have throughout the space is this orange Xbracing. The client mentioned it and we were all for it. So there's some areas throughout the project where we really have that exposed. This is around one of our stairwells and then also in the open office space on the first and second floor, we have that. So look at a few of the ways that we used Revit and Inscape for this project to help drive a few design decisions. With all of that exterior glazing that we had on our building, we were worried about the amount of heat that would be coming into it as well and what that environment was going to be like. On top of the heat was also how much direct sunlight would be coming in and causing glare. So with Revit, we were able to place our building on the site in the exact location. So we knew exactly how the sun would be interacting with it. And then we were able to bring that information into Inscape. With Inscape, as you can see in this video, it's been going back and forth. We could drag the time of day. So in different locations within our building, we would do this to see where the sun would be at its highest, and then that helped drive the design for our sunshades as well as the location for those. The next two slides are showing how we were able to use Revit to build a few of the design elements within our space, but then also how they integrated into our documentation. So with Revit, we have our stair that we modeled that when you select it in one view, you can also see it select in the other views and how it's not just the model, it's also your documentation. With that stair, we wanted to make sure that we were wrapping around that elevator as close as possible and that it was coordinating with the first floor, the second floor, as well as that built-in terrazzo bench that we were designing. And then on top of that, you can also see how the structure was linked in that we were coordinating around as well. Similar to the stair that I just showed you, the other thing that we wanted to make sure was coordinated was that exposed Xbracing throughout the building. So in one of the areas we had it was around this staircase that was on the first and second floor where we would have it exposed. And you can see it over in the 3D to the side as well as our elevation and how all those views are connected. So with a 3D, we wanted to make sure that we were coordinating how that was going to interact with our ceiling as well as the floor because we would need to provide details for that. So that was a little overview of the different types of drawings that we produced for this project, as well as how the programs we used helped us design, collaborate, and document for the project. Do you remember this was just barely touching on 2 programs that are available? There are a lot of other programs out there that allow you to draft as well as create renderings.